Today is something that a lot of you have asked me for. Recently we put up a short introduction video to a new rifle platform, a new caliber that we're working with. It's called the 375 Socom, and it's from Tromix Lead Delivery Systems. Great company, good friend. They've been in the business for a long time and they do a lot of innovative projects. And we just introduced it without really saying a lot about it. Now, I don't know if you all lit the internet on fire or not, but you certainly created a few sparks, and it became obvious that we've got to get into this in a little bit of detail right away. That's what we're working on today. Let's talk a little bit in depth about the Tromix 375 Socom. So we briefly went over some of this in that first introductory video, so I'll just go over it quick. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below this video in case you didn't see it. But the 375 Socom was designed by a friend named Tony. His company is called Tromix, T-R-O-M-I-X, Lead Delivery Systems. They've been in the business for an awful long time. They specialize in really big bore things, accurate things and quiet things, really energy transferring a lot of energy on target, and they're overachievers for sure. Now, some of their other projects include the 458 Socom. Another real popular one is the S17, which is an upgrade to the Sega shotguns, and it's a very serious upgrade. They've done some really off-the-wall things too, some big bore AK platform guns. They did the Siamese M16 a long time ago, and others have copied it, but the folks at Tromix are the ones that developed it first. So this is another in a long line of really cool, innovative products. And they typically have legs. They stick around. They're not just doing it for flash value. They're manufacturing these things because they want people to own them. So what is the 375 Socom? It is a heavy projectile in the 30 caliber area that allows a good ballistic coefficient and accuracy like you would find in a 308 or a 300 blackout, while starting out at they go down as low as maybe 225 grain, but upwards of 300 grain projectiles. So you've got a good coefficient. You've got really good accuracy. You've got the ability to hit targets and hold elevation without it being like artillery. You don't have to lob this stuff in. Your distance between 200 and 300 yards at a 100-yard sight-in is minimal compared to what it is with the 458 Socom, yet you still have a great big energy transfer. You have a lot of muzzle energy. Since we're on the topic of muzzle energy, I brought a few notes with me. Let's talk a little bit about that. When you're dealing with something that is ideally suppressed, you have a known variable, and that is keeping it under the speed of sound. For the purposes of this test, we're running several loads that are chronoed at 1,000 feet per second. Now, since you're stuck at that subsonic level, really there are only a few things that you can do to gain energy transfer downrange. You can go with a heavier projectile, which creates more muzzle energy, and you can work with different bullet types which expand at these lower speeds, and we're going to get into that type of thing a little bit later on. But just to talk a little bit about muzzle energy, some of the more common suppressed platforms that you see, you know, maybe 22 long rifle. There are a lot of 22 suppressed rifles and pistols out there. Even at supersonic speed, if you're running at 1,250 feet per second, that with a 36 grain projectile, just for a baseline, so we have somewhere to start, that gives you 124 foot-pounds of energy. So let's use that as a baseline. Some of the more common suppressed, accurate subsonic rounds would absolutely include the 300 blackout. I mean, that one would just knock the doors off the place when it came out. It's got a great ballistic coefficient. It's very accurate. Again, you're in that same subsonic area with it. That's where it excels. A 187 grain projectile from the 300 blackout at 1,000 feet per second, equivalent to what we're doing with the Tromix, that's going to give you 415 foot-pounds of energy. With the 375 Socom, working with 275 grain projectiles at 1,000 feet per second, which is our threshold, you're at 610 foot-pounds of energy. Now, if all of those numbers, I mean, obviously you can see them getting larger, but if they don't really mean anything to you, think about this. Think about Dirty Harry's 44 Magnum, the Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum. It's a 240 grain projectile. It's traveling, we'll say, 1,200 feet per second. That is 767 foot-pounds of energy. So this iconic gun, which they touted at the time as being the most powerful handgun in the world, and it absolutely was. We're looking at about 150 more foot-pounds of energy from a full boat load than we're dealing with delivering silently with much better accuracy. I hope that kind of helps understand the type of energy that we're dealing with and how much the 375 Socom really delivers. So let's get started at the beginning. Let's get us sighted in. I'm going to put 5 rounds downrange. I'm only at 50 yards at this point. All I want to do is get on paper with the subsonic stuff. I fired 1 round before starting the camera from a much closer range just to make sure I was in the ballpark. So let's start at step 1. Let's get it sighted in. 250 grain Sierra boat tails at 1,000 feet per second. I've got to put a new trigger in this. This isn't one from Tony, this is one of mine that I've been working with, and it's a little bit out of adjustment, so sometimes you've got to help it re-engage again. I'll have that taken care of in no time. Excellent. It's nice to run this full-length rail because we can have this in the rest and not make any contact with the barrel anywhere. The way this is set up, it's got a 10.5-inch barrel, and the Bowers Verse 9S attaches to the barrel right about here. So we've got all of this extra length that we can utilize for a resting spot or a mounting spot, and don't have to worry about any barrel contact at all. That's good enough for me as far as being sighted in. Let's shoot something a little more meaningful. Let's talk a little bit about energy transfer and actually get a visual on how that works instead of just talking numbers. No science of voodoo here, just straight sight in. The original shot that I fired to see that we were on paper was here. Then I just shot a string of 5 rounds at 50 yards, the first, and adjusting between all of them, the second, the third, the fourth. Had to bring it a little bit left, the fifth. I don't think I can get any closer to the center of this, and that's going to help us with this next phase of testing, energy transfer. Now, I can't think of any medium that more people are going to recognize and have experience with to demonstrate the transfer of energy than a simple jug of water. Let's see what the 375 Socom does impacting a jug of water at 50 yards. And again, we're at this subsonic speed level of 1,000 feet per second. Yeah, looked a little bit, little high maybe, but I think it helps visualize a little bit better than just listing off some numbers. Let's shoot another one. Milk jug, number 2, 50 yards, 375 Tromix, subsonic, 1,000 feet per second. Yeah, that works. A lot more useful than just listing numbers. So that's what 600 foot-pounds of energy looks like at 50 yards with a 275 grain projectile at 1,000 feet per second. And again, the key part, the part I can't stress enough with this, we haven't even gotten into the supersonic loads yet where things are really going to go crazy. This is subsonic, and you'll notice I'm not using any hearing protection. It's not even close to being dangerous not to. It's really comfortable. It's almost spooky quiet. Let's shoot a couple rounds just to reaffirm that. I'll shoot one into the bank, and then I'll shoot another at a steel target at 50 yards so you can hear how quiet this thing really is. First one into the dirt berm. Unbelievable. Now let's hit the shootsteel.com target 50 yards out. It's amazing. And it seems weird because it's light, gentle, and quiet here. It's like someone slamming that with a sledgehammer only 50 yards away. It's amazing. Let's talk some specifics about this particular system. And we'll start at the muzzle and work back. It's got a Bowers Verse 9 S sound suppressor on it. Now, before anybody comments, I wouldn't recommend throwing your 9mm suppressor on a 375 Tromix without talking to the suppressor manufacturer first. But we've absolutely been cleared by the folks at Bowers Group to utilize this can on this system. And it works fantastic. Next, we've got the Socom rail system, and it's just a little bit larger in the ID than the sound suppressor is on the OD. So it's a really, really nice fit. The barrel is 10.5 inches long. It meets the suppressor right in this area, and that gives us a really usable overall length without it being really front heavy. We have a Vortex 2.5 to 10 44mm objective sight on it on a Vortex mount. And man, I've been anxious to get behind some of this Vortex stuff. I've read a lot of nice things about it, and so far it doesn't disappoint. As we go a little bit further back, as I've been using on a lot of my firearms lately, I'm using the Law folding stock adapter. I really like this thing, and on a short firearm like this, you know, a 10.5-inch barrel gun, having the ability to fold the stock and get that buffer tube out of the way for storage or transport, it allows you to utilize everything that comes with a short-barreled rifle, so that's cool. And then a Magpul collapsible stock on it. Nice piece, very comfortable, and so far it's performing great. So that's a quick walk through a meaningful but short look at the 375 Socom by Tromix. We're going to spend a whole lot more time with it. I'm going to publish some load data. The ammo is available from several different companies already, but I know a lot of you like to reload and make your own ammo. So we'll have load data published, and as well as ammo information. And this whole kit I'll have in the description below the video. We'll start from the muzzle and we'll run all the way to the rear. So if there's anything specific you're looking for or want to do some homework on, we'll make it easy. So I hope that you enjoyed the short, quick peek at the 375. It's going to be one of many. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you don't already, share us with your friends in your vast social media universe, and until next time, have fun and be safe.